Welcome back to Breakup Cheater, where the darkest betrayals and the most shocking reckonings come to light. Tonight's story isn't just about divorce. It's about deception, arrogance, and the cold precision of a soldier who refused to be broken. Imagine walking into court expecting to lose everything: your home, your savings, even your dignity, only to flip the script and expose the corruption festering behind the bench. This is a tale of betrayal, courtroom warfare, and a reckoning no one saw coming. Grab a seat, dim the lights, because once you hear this, you'll never look at betrayal the same way again. Courtroom betrayal. How a soldier turned the tables on his wife and her lawyer lover. The insult. The courtroom smelled of varnished wood and stale polish, the kind of scent that clung to old halls of justice. A faint hum of whispers floated around me, curious strangers waiting to watch a man be stripped bare in public. I sat at the petitioner's table in my dress blues. Not because I had to, this wasn't a military tribunal, but because I needed the reminder. Every medal, every patch, every line in that uniform represented years of sacrifice. Battles fought, brothers lost, and duty honored. And now, all of it seemed to shrink down to this: a divorce hearing. Across from me sat Natalie, my wife of 7 years, her posture perfect, her nails tapping the polished surface of the table as if she owned the room. Beside her lounged her new man, Stephen Cole, a lawyer with slicked back hair, a designer suit, and the kind of smirk that begged to be broken. He leaned back casually, voice dripping arrogance. "Don't drag this out, soldier. The judge is an old friend of mine. You're walking out of here with nothing." Natalie chuckled and glanced at me with ice in her eyes. "He's too scared to even open his mouth. Look at him." Stephen pulled a crisp document from his briefcase and slid it toward me like he was dealing cards at a casino. "Sign it now." I looked down. The agreement stripped me of everything. The house, the savings, even my truck. It was robbery cloaked in legalese. I didn't reach for the pen. I didn't even look at the paper again. Instead, I raised my eyes to his and said calmly, "You really have no idea who I am, do you?" Before the betrayal. 3 years ago, the idea of divorce would have sounded like a bad joke. Back then, Natalie had been my anchor, or so I thought. We met when I was still on active duty. She claimed she admired my loyalty, my discipline, my sense of honor. She wore my uniformed presence like a badge of pride. But it wasn't pride. It was spotlight. She thrived on attention at military gatherings. She loved the introductions to officers, the champagne parties, the whispered envy of other wives. She wasn't in love with me. She was in love with the image of being with me. When I rotated back stateside into a desk role, things shifted. She grew restless. My steady hours and structured life weren't glamorous enough. She said I wasn't the man she married. Then came the late-night work dinners, the sudden fitness kick, the endless phone calls taken in the garage. I ignored the signs. Until I couldn't. One night, I returned early from a seminar. The moment I walked into my own living room, I froze. 2 wine glasses on the table, her laugh echoing, and Stephen's jacket draped across the back of my chair. He didn't flinch when he saw me. He didn't even stand. He just smirked and said, "Guess you're home early, soldier." That was the night everything died inside me. The quiet setup. Back in the courtroom, I let my silence hang heavy. Let them mistake it for fear. For 3 months, I had been running my own operation. Not through divorce lawyers, but through discipline and the network I still had from service. I pulled bank statements, tracked hidden accounts, and documented every suspicious transaction. Friends she'd burned were all too happy to provide statements. But the crown jewel. Evidence of their arrogance. With the help of a contact in the Criminal Investigation Division, I'd recorded one of their private dinners. They had no idea. Between clinking wine glasses and laughter, Stephen's voice was crystal clear. "Don't worry, babe. The judge will sign whatever we hand him. We'll bleed him dry and toast to it in Cabo." And Natalie's response? A cruel laugh. "He's too scared to fight back. By the time he realizes, Everything will already be ours. I had it all, labeled neatly as Exhibit Z. So when Stephen tapped the document and sneered, "Sign it, soldier," I almost smiled. "You sure about that?" Exhibit Z. The judge cleared his throat. "Mr. Hayes, either sign the agreement or state your objection." I stood slowly, buttoning my uniform jacket. "Your Honor, I do have an objection. And a new piece of evidence." Stephen rolled his eyes. "Your Honor, this is just a stalling tactic. There's no evidence on record." I reached into my briefcase, pulled out a small recorder, and placed it on the table. "Actually, there is. Exhibit Z." Murmurs rippled through the gallery. The clerk leaned forward. The judge's brow furrowed. "Press play." Stephen's voice filled the courtroom. "The judge will sign whatever we put in front of him. We'll bleed him dry." Natalie's laugh followed, mocking and unmistakable. "He's too scared to fight back." Gasps spread across the room. Natalie's face drained of color. Stephen stiffened, then scrambled to his feet. "Objection. This is an invasion of privacy." The judge's voice cracked like a whip. "Overruled. Continue the recording." And then came the nail in the coffin. Stephen's voice again, smug and damning. "Even if he tries, I'll bury him. The judge is my buddy. We've done this before." The judge leaned forward, eyes sharp as a blade. "Is that your voice, Counselor Cole?" Stephen swallowed hard, all his swagger evaporating. The turn of the tide. The silence was suffocating. "Mr. Cole," the judge thundered, "this is collusion and misconduct of the highest order. Bailiff, seize that device for evidence." Two bailiffs moved quickly. One collected the recorder. The other hovered near Stephen just in case. Natalie stared at me, panic replacing arrogance. She looked at Stephen for reassurance, but he couldn't even meet her eyes. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Hayes, all asset transfers are hereby frozen pending investigation. Custody remains unchanged until further review." He nodded. Respectful. "Thank you, Your Honor." What I didn't say was that I had even more evidence waiting. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, photographs of their luxury vacations funded by my paychecks. Natalie hissed under her breath. "We're not giving him anything." But it was already too late. The second strike. Court adjourned early. I didn't go home. I went straight to the district attorney's office, where my CID contact was waiting with a thick folder. Inside, bank transfers linking Natalie and Stephen. Emails proving deliberate asset hiding. A photo of them sunbathing in the Maldives during a women's leadership conference. The DA flipped through the file, her jaw tightening. "This isn't just family court fraud. This is conspiracy, bribery, and financial misconduct. We'll open a criminal investigation immediately." By the next hearing, Internal Affairs was waiting in the gallery. The judge removed Stephen from the case on the spot. Natalie gasped when two officers escorted him out. I leaned just close enough to whisper. "You said I had no choice. You were right. I had to destroy you." Her face went pale. 3 weeks later, the story exploded. Headlines: Prominent attorney exposed in divorce court bribery scandal. Clips of the recording played on every major network. Natalie's laugh. Stephen's arrogance. My silence breaking them both. Stephen was disbarred, facing a possible 12-year sentence. His buddy, the judge, was suspended under investigation for bribery. Natalie. She was charged as a co-conspirator. Counts frozen. Luxury condo seized. Family shamed. At the final hearing, the new judge looked me in the eye. "Mr. Hayes, in light of overwhelming evidence, you are awarded full custody, sole ownership of assets, and dissolution of marriage. Mrs. Hayes will pay restitution once legally able." The gavel fell. Natalie's hand shook. As I passed her, I whispered, "No choice, remember." Months later, a letter arrived in my mailbox. Natalie's handwriting, shaky, desperate. "I can't pay rent. Please, just enough to get by." For the kids' sake. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just entitlement. I slipped her letter into a new envelope. Inside I placed a photograph taken last weekend. Me, my kids, my father, and my new partner smiling at our cabin in the mountains. On the back I wrote, "You were right. I had no choice. I chose to live well without you." 2 weeks later, I heard she'd been evicted. Living in a rundown motel. Me. I was signing a 6-figure security contract overseas. A deal that would secure my family's future. Because betrayal doesn't just burn bridges. It leaves you stranded on the ashes you lit yourself. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well without ever looking back. And that, my friends, is how arrogance collapsed under its own weight. Betrayal burns bridges, but justice builds new roads forward. What do you think? Was his revenge perfectly justified? Or was walking away the greatest strike of all? Let me know your take in the comments below. If this story hit you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because here on Blood Moon Broadcast, every lie has its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Until next time. Stay sharp, stay strong, and stay tuned.